Alien sounds.
Alien sounds.
Like
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, Mike Schubert, being in the business center of the hotel I'm staying at, which does have a copy machine behind me, to the, hey, remember that one time Kyle Korver got traded for a copy machine? It's Adam Momowala. Adam, how's it going?
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, we got it. I should do it. That actually happened about this if we haven't. But there was basically a trade, I think, early in Korver's career, maybe before he got serious playing time, where the Nets, I believe, traded him. Yeah, so the shortest version is he was drafted by the Nets 51st, and then they immediately traded his draft rights to the Sixers for $125,000. And then the Nets used that money to cover summer league fees, pay for renovations to their parking lot, and buy a copy machine. And everyone just laughs at it as, oh, hey, they traded Kyle Korver for a copy machine.
It is true. We talk a lot about cash considerations on this podcast, but we don't necessarily talk about what that cash is used for. So it
it's
could be
always
a copy
cash
machine.
Considerations and not considering
Right. The cash.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very true. Imagine if Swin Cash were traded for cash considerations.
Oh, I'd have to look at her history, but that would be very funny. Cash for cash.
Also, I did not remember that Korver was a 51st overall pick. He had a hell of a career for somebody drafted that late.
Yeah, and he was in that historic 2003 draft, which came up recently because I believe it was on the podcast between, I think it's called Cousins, with Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter, who are famously cousins. And Vince Carter was clearly reading some sort of prompt question that the producer of the podcast put, and it was asking about the 2003 draft class, which famously includes LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony. And he was listing Chris Bosh as well. He was listing off all the people from the 2003 draft class that came on to do very good things. And he just said in order: LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Melo, Korver, and then Tracy McGrady was like, stop.
The big five. Yeah.
I think the point that Vince was going to make was that there are other people that were really good that you wouldn't have expected. He was not trying to say these five are the same,
right?
But Tracy stopped him before he could get to that point, and it was really funny. Just really fun stuff. But yeah, 51st pick for Korver is incredible value. I don't think anyone's ever going to touch the fact that Jokic was, I believe, the 53rd pick in his draft. I think that's probably, unless someone goes undrafted and then wins multiple MVPs, I don't think you can do better than that, but pretty good value for 51.
Totally.
Hello, there's a quick audio jump here, but Adam alerted me that there were some alien noises happening in the background, technical term, and we believe we fixed them. For everyone listening, including Adam, sometimes when you have microphone equipment set up in a certain way, it can broadcast radio signals. Remember this used to happen in my old place in Midtown? I would pick up a Christian radio station, but then if you moved things around, it wouldn't happen. So I guess this business center connects to Area 51.
Yeah, and when I say alien noises, it was just Wemby whining a lot, is what I was hearing.
Shout out to the people that razzed him at Fanatics Fest in NYC, screaming, Jalen Brunson's your dad, over and over again.
Yes,
I really
the two highlights of Fanatics Fest were people yelling at Wemby and then Trae Young trying to rip a Jalen Brunson jersey and completely failing at it.
That was good. That would have been a good intro thing of Trae Young trying to rip a jersey too unsuccessfully doing it. You have to cut a slip in it. I don't think even, Trae Young's a strong man. I don't think even a very strong man like him could just straight rip a jersey.
I saw people joking. They were like, the most amazing thing about this is that something made by Fanatics didn't rip immediately.
Yes.
It's actually kind of an unintentionally good advertisement for the quality of the jersey.
Now, I think the one he was holding, if I'm going to put my nerd hat on, is not the one actually made by Fanatics. I think that is the Nike Icon Swingman version.
Well, no wonder it's nice.
Which there's 3 tiers. There is replica, Swingman, and authentic. And the authentic is made by Nike. I believe the Swingman is also considered to be made by Nike, and then the replica is actually made by Fanatics, which is bad. I've been getting some of the merch that I've gotten for championship stuff is Fanatics, and the inconsistency in it is wild. Like, shirts are wildly different sizes, hats, some look amazing, some look crap. I'm sure they're just using like many partners, especially with the Knicks in particular, because they're just trying to get so many orders that it's like the luck of the draw if you get one of the good companies they work with. But it's been wild. Fanatics is awful. So what are you going to do? But anyway, we got stuff to talk about. Let's get ready for it in the Teal Memorial locker room. Everything there, high quality, really high quality robes. You're not going to worry about them ripping, even if Trae Young tries to rip them. You know who else won't have ripped clothes unless that's their stylistic choice?
Certainly not our patrons, and I would expect definitely not our producer level patrons who keep this train a-moving.
Yes, they do. Shout out to Polly Burge, Salvador Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry won an ESPY.
Yes, congratulations to Steph and Aisha Curry, who won an ESPY for their humanitarian work.
That's good, making up for their NIMBY stuff. But I know they didn't win any ESPY that a New York Knick was nominated for, because the Knicks swept the ESPYs.
Yeah, basically, the only thing the Knicks didn't sweep, including the ESPYs, was the finals.
We're so close. Yeah. We're so close. Chase Underulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby is a vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs boy, Balls to the Walls, Mats Forley, Utah Jazz, Derry Bird, alternate reality NBA wife, and Bucking Valkyries. Yes, we've got a new name.
Yes, we had that new producer level patron last week under the actual name of Sebastian. Sebastian since responded to my inquiry about if they would like to have some sort of patron name, and they have chosen Bucking Valkyries because their favorite NBA team is the Milwaukee Bucks, and their favorite WNBA team is the Valkyries, which kind of works. Fun. I mean, Bucking Valkyries, pretty good. It sounds like something from the Odyssey, which I highly recommend.
Yeah. It sounds like, I will be seeing it in the future. No spoilers. That's a joke because the story's a million years old.
Yes.
But Bucking Valkyrie sounds like people doing rodeo stuff on top of Pegasi. Like it's a bucking horse, but it's winged.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind for me.
I like that.
But yeah. But now I think we'll keep it rolling if you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes. And if I post the video episode of this, you can see the copy machine. Let me see if I can roll the... There she is. Oh, yeah.
That's a good-looking copy machine right there.
It looks like it can do a lot. And if I got to send a fax while I'm in town, maybe I will. But if you're listening on Patreon, we're going to keep going. If you're listening on the podcast feed, we'll take a break here for some locally inserted ads, and then we'll get back to it.
Cool.
All right, Adam, what do you got going on?
All right, I got a couple new things to update. This is a funny one. So if you're listening to this when it comes out, actually, I guess this will be like today if you're listening to this when it comes out. But on the 28th of July, which is a Tuesday, I'm going to be recording a short special for OnlyFans. Have you heard about their foray into comedy?
I know about this because our mutual friend Gracie, who does comedy stuff, but then also has OnlyFans content of her own. I knew she was doing comedy stuff as well. I was like, that makes sense. Gracie's doing OnlyFans, but for you, that's surprising unless you have a new business venture. You're a good-looking dude. Make it happen, bud.
Sure, yes. I suspect that there will be some people joining for reasons that have nothing to do with comedy who will be gravely disappointed when that is what I'm posting. No, basically, OnlyFans is like trying to compete with Patreon. That's kind of their business model is like, hey, it doesn't just have to be in the beginning. Exactly.
Like in the beginning,
it just so happened that it took a different direction and probably has made them a lot of money. But anyway, so I will be recording it's like a 10-minute kind of mini special for that at a venue called The Gutter in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which is a bar / bowling alley.
It's such a funny place for an OnlyFans thing, though. Get your head out of the gutter. It's OnlyFans. The only rule about content is no jokes about minors. But I do want to do 10 minutes about Chilean minors to just see if I can. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
whatever university has the minors as their mascot.
I have performed at the Colorado School of Mines.
They tried to recruit me pretty hard.
That's a great school.
It's a good school. I always thought it was a really funny name. I remember laughing about it when they sent me this thing that was like, please come apply. We'll give you a tour, like for academic purposes, not like for any of their sports teams. And my mom was like, don't laugh, Michael. That's a phenomenal school.
It is a very good school.
But it's Colorado School of Mines. What am I, a Seven Dwarf? Like,
yeah,
what is
I did a
this?
show there a million years ago, and the first minute of my act, I just did like miming, and then said that I thought it was the Colorado School of Mimes, and not as many people laughed as I wanted.
That's really good.
Wanted them to.
Did you get free merch from them? Because I feel like that would be a great dry fit shirt to have.
Sadly, no. I think I do not have a shirt from that school, so I guess I've got no choice but to go back to the School of Mines in beautiful Golden, Colorado. We've really gotten off track here, but let me get back on track. That show is on the 28th of July. The next night, I will be in Washington, D.C. at the D.C. Improv. That show is getting close to a sellout, so if you are in the D.C. area and you want to come out, please do so. Then in August, I will be in Montreal on the 14th and 15th. I'll be in Easton, PA on September 12th, Atlanta on October 15th. Tickets are not officially on sale for that yet, but that show is official, so keep an eye out to Eileen Gazesh, who I finally remembered, which the person is who lives in Atlanta. Philly on November 7th, Bozeman, Montana on December 11th, and as always, adding stuff as I go, hoping for a Bay Area show, which is long overdue. Do you have anything new on your end?
Same stuff. Brooklyn, August 15th, and then Boston, September 20th, and Philly, September 27th. Come on through. The guests for Brooklyn are going to be Sequoia Simone and Paul Kayola, who are big TNO fan favorite guests, and then we're going to do improv comedy for the second half, which will be pretty cool. And then other shows, I still got to figure it out, but looking promising, looking fun. Get your tickets at thenewsolympian.com/live. All right. So we have an big Q&A, but we're going to save it for when our interview comes through. So should we just move on to full court press, get it like the news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So there's been, I guess, like a slight lull, only there's been just rumblings about where LeBron is going to go recently. I had a really fun time watching. Did you see all of the MSG WWE content that happened? Yeah, so they had Danhausen,
of course,
which I think we covered on the show, but basically Danhausen's a WWE wrestler who had a beef with a Cleveland-based wrestler, so he uncursed the Knicks. This whole thing is that he curses and uncurses people. He uncursed the Knicks and cursed the Cavs, and then we swept them, so then the Knicks were like, yo, Danhausen, and he was like, sure. So I don't know if he did like a second blessing or was at finals games, but it was like a bit of a thing, and then we won, and then they started making Champhausen shirts, which was him holding the championship trophy, and then they kept it going with KAT-hausen. So Karl Anthony Towns joined him. I didn't get the full context of it because I didn't watch it, but he came out of a like plywood thing that said cloning machine. So I don't know if Danhausen's bit was that he was cloning himself and instead made KAT-hausen, which was Karl Anthony Towns in that championship shirt. Amazing. And then he immediately comes out and choke slams two dudes. Choke slam being the wrestling move where you grab a guy or you grab an opponent by the neck and then throw them down. And for safety, they like jump into it and hold the arm. But like choke slams look really cool. You know what looks cooler than regular choke slam? When a 7-foot tall dude choke slams you. They were so cool. They looked so awesome. And the one of the announcers, I don't know his name, it was an American sounding guy and a British guy. And the British guy, which is great because you don't expect that in WWE. He's like, it's 9 feet in the air. Like it was really good.
They just pulled someone off of the World Cup and had them do a wrestling match. Yeah.
It was so fun. So yeah, like Kat's chokeslam is very convincing. And the best is a lot of the comments, because I think there's the thing where true wrestling fans get mad at these celebrity cameos. Some of the comments were like, those are actually really good form chokeslams, which made me very happy.
Clearly they rehearsed.
Yeah. And then I don't know the other context of this, but Jalen Brunson came out for Roman Reigns, who I think he also had recently won a championship. So it was kind of like a championship, finals MVP sort of thing. And they were on the stage together. And then they were interrupted by Tyrese Halliburton. And they didn't do any fighting, but they did some smack talking. And Halliburton was saying, next year I'm coming for you, all that kind of stuff. Brunson and Halliburton previously had a WWE thing because they're both fans. And they had Jalen Brunson last offseason come out for a thing that Halliburton was on stage for. So it's fun to like continue to play that up. But I know Brunson's a huge WWE guy, so pretty cool to have him get to do some of this stuff, especially when the event's at MSG. Just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Brunson also, he had this wild day. We mentioned the ESPYs. He had this wild day where he did some sort of press thing. There was like a Knicks Twitter day where they had like a basketball thing, kind of like the big walk. Funnily enough, we're going to be interviewing Joel soon. And they came on they did a basketball thing. Him and Josh Hart came and said hi, took some pictures with people. And then he did the ESPYs that evening. And then the Knicks won ESPYs for best team. Jalen Brunson won it for best championship player. OG won it for best play. Mm-hmm. And then there was some other thing that they won. But OG gave this really funny speech that we'll have to put the link of the video to, where you were talking to me about this. Yeah. Just like, people don't understand that the microphones can be very far away from you. NBA players used to holding the mics really close. Yeah. So OG did this like power stance to try and get low, and gave this very simple, they clearly said like, you have to say more than one sentence. And you're just like, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so grateful. This championship team was wonderful. Go Knicks.
Yeah. Brunson's speech was equally bland and short. Mm-hmm. But OG got some laughs just from like being himself and spreading his legs completely to get low enough to speak. But yeah, OG won for best play. Brunson won for best male athlete. The Knicks won for best team.
And then I think Brunson won for best athlete on a championship team, or maybe
it's called like best championship performance, I think.
Yeah, something. Basically, Finals MVP for any sport kind of thing for the ESPY. Hello, there may have been an abrupt change of audio because Joel jumped in and we recorded the interview in between. That's the peek behind the curtain. But now we can continue full court press, and then the interview that we just finished doing, which was delightful, will be the ending of this episode. But yeah, Adam, any other NBA things to discuss? I mean, the other big one, Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro got into a physical altercation
right after we recorded. League. Naturally,
of course, happened right after. I've heard many different reports, but I think the most succinct version is Tyler Herro was doing some sort of pickup game at one of the casino/hotels that has courts, and Bam Adebayo was also there, and he was upset because Tyler Herro was caught talking smack about Bam in some random social media user's DMs, and then that person posted screenshots where Tyler Herro's main claim was, yeah, Bam is good, but he's paid way too much money for a guy that they don't game plan the defense around, whereas they game plan the defense around me, which I think is it's an okay claim to make, but Bam did score 83 points. So I don't know how much he's not that good claim holds water.
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's funny when someone with an onomatopoeic name like Bam smacks someone. That is a little funny to me. But also, I don't know, Tyler Herro seems like someone who could maybe run his mouth a little bit. That's kind of the impression that I get of him. So I'm not saying he deserved to get smacked by Bam Adebayo. That's not acceptable. But I mean, I think it's probably something that won't ultimately be that big of a deal. But listen, I mean, if you're going to talk shit about somebody, even if you think it's private, if it comes to light at some point, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of it. I think Bam probably could have handled it differently, but...
Yeah, it was funny because all the reports, clearly both sides are trying to leak out information to make their side look better. And it must have been the Tyler Herro side, but they were like, he was struck in the chin by Bam, but he did not fall over. So clearly Bam either slapped or punched him in the face and he didn't fall over. And Tyler was like, let it get on the record that yes, he hit me, but I did not fall. I did not fall down.
That's funny.
It's really good. Speaking of the Bam 83 points thing, did you see the Onion article? This was written the day after he scored the points, but I didn't hear about this until someone put it in the comment section of the Reddit post about this altercation.
What was it?
Did you? So this is obviously a joke from the Onion, who is a satire thing, and sometimes they do dark humor. It's one of those ones, they do this a lot for sports, where it's just a headline and no article. And the headline is, Lakers fans furious as Bam Adebayo dies in even worse helicopter crash.
Jesus Christ.
It's so dark, but that's really funny because context-wise, in case I don't know, Kobe died in a crash and scored 81 points, and Bam scored 83. And there's some people were like, oh, out of respect to Kobe, Bam shouldn't have scored 83, which is stupid. It's a very stupid thing to say. So playing on that, that's really dark, but that's a really funny joke from the Onion.
Oh my God. Yeah, I definitely did not see that at the time.
Oh man, that's one of the jokes where it's like when comedians say like, "Oh, I'm pushing the envelope," like that's actually pushing the envelope. Where other people are like, "I'm transphobic. I'm pushing the envelope." Like, no, Dave, you're not pushing the envelope. You're just being bigoted.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there's a lot of other stuff. Obviously, we're all still waiting around for LeBron to say where he's going, which at this point is like getting kind of LeBronish of him to like draw it out to this degree.
Yeah, there is one other thing that did happen in between recording. It's that the Kawhi Leonard trade is now up in the air. I don't know. I think we discussed the trade on the last Full Court Press, I believe, which was that Kawhi was traded for Brandon Ingram and a lot of picks and stuff to go back to the Raptors. But now the trade is halted because the NBA really doubled down saying, hey, whatever team has Kawhi on their roster will have to pay the consequences of some negative repercussions for Kawhi in particular. So if like the Clippers get caught cheating and the Clippers get draft picks docked and stuff, that's not necessarily going to the Raptors. But if the Clippers get some picks taken away that the Raptors traded for, then it's like, okay, you don't have these picks anymore. And then if Kawhi either gets suspended or his contract is voided or something, whatever team has him has to deal with that. So what they basically told the Raptors was like, you can make this trade, but just know
buy at your own risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And apparently the teams knew this. This was said before the trade was agreed upon, or at least agreed upon in principle. But the reporting that I heard from Zach Lowe and some other NBA folk was that when the Raptors were first warned about this, it had the tune of, okay, but it's not actually going to happen. And then apparently when they were doing the calls to finalize it, the Raptors got the vibe, like the NBA was too much like, you're sure, right? You're sure? Mm-hmm. You're sure? Like when you're playing a board game or chess or something and it's like, that's your move? You're locking in the move? You're sure? Yeah. That's the move? Now I can play my trap card and win the game in one fell swoop. I think the Raptors like were worried at how insistent the NBA was about like, that they're now afraid. So it's on pause, which is weird because like, I don't know, if you're Brandon Ingram, where do you work out? If you're Kawhi, like, do you buy a house? Like, it's very strange.
But also like, why is it taking so long for the NBA to figure out what the punishment is? This happened 10 months ago.
That's the big thing. It's been over 11 months since the investigation started. And now what the Raptors have at least made clear is that they're going to wait for the investigation to conclude. And Adam Silver keeps being vague, saying like, oh, in the coming weeks, but I don't know. It might be into next season. Like the season could start. It's really weird. I don't know why it's taking so long. There's been a lot of jokes made that how this is like the billable hours MVP situation. Like and then comparing to other investigations like Watergate and these other like huge national scandals and international things that get wrapped up in 3 months or 4 months. Mm-hmm. It looks into assassinations of world leaders take less time, but like did the Clippers illegally pay Kawhi Leonard? Takes 11 months. It just it's very strange. It's been taking way too long, and now it's like really bleeding into just like bad for the product territory because what is going on with this trade? So
yeah, exactly. Beyond that, weird. Any other WNBA news or quips or anything? Obviously, I don't think we talked about the Alyssa Thomas being suspended.
No, we missed it. Yes.
Caitlin Clark. I mean, basically slow motion punching her neck. Yeah. Like
I think at the last time we talked about how there was that altercation where Sophie Cunningham was pointing and stuff a lot, but then a couple games after they played again,
and you knew it was going to get chippy.
And the fever, and there was like a loose ball that Caitlin Clark went for, and then she was like on the ground. Alyssa Thomas went for it as well, and it was very clear the thing where Alyssa Thomas like tried to make it look like she had just fallen on Caitlin Clark, but in the way that she did, had two closed fists, one on her neck, one pretty close to her neck. So clearly it was a let me fall in a certain way on them. And at first she was not going to necessarily face any repercussions for it. But then apparently Adam Silver talked with Kathy Engelberg, the commissioner of the WNBA, who is not good. Engelberg is not in very much beloved. We've talked about how she wore a New York print dress to a finals game between the Liberty and the Lynx, which is a bad look given that only one of those teams plays in New York, and she's had other problems happen. So apparently Silver stepped in and was like, you should probably suspend her. That's a bad
bad precedent to set to not do so.
But
speaking of Caitlin Clark, dropped 45 and 10 last night as we record this.
Yes.
Also a very scary injury, like a collision between neck Rebecca Aguamake and Paige Beckers, but fortunately they're okay. I don't know if you saw that, but it was pretty ugly.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I mean, season's moving along here. I feel like we're already, well into the second
Playoffs
half
are
of the
coming.
year. Yeah.
Playoffs are coming. All-Star Weekend was fun, and I'm really excited for my perfectly bad Seattle Storm, where
it's kind of what you predicted.
It's exactly what you want. We're one of the worst teams in the league, but significant player development from people already on the team. Dominique Malonga's like doubling her rookie year numbers, which is fantastic. And then Awa Pham came over after winning a championship in Spain and is playing well. So it's like, cool. We've got our young core of very tall women. Let's roll with this.
The Storm are doing exactly what I hope the Bulls do next year, which is like they're fun and interesting to watch. They're still bad, but you can see that they're moving in the right direction and they're setting themselves up for success in a few years.
And then every now and then they win a game and you're like, and
or lose close games, and,
you're like,
that's also fun. Yeah, exactly.
And it's fun when it's against a really good team. I think one of our wins recently came against the Liberty, and it's like, that's fun. They're good. Yeah. So it's a perfect bad season. Loving it.
Yeah, but I think that'll do it for Full Court Press. So let's go ahead and get into our interview with our old pal, Joel Walkowski. All right, joining us today, a very special guest. This has got to be at least his third or fourth time on the podcast, getting very close to a 5-Timers Club jacket, which we have not made and will not, but it is kind of a figurative jacket at this point. We are joined by Joel Walkowski. You may know him as the creator and founder of the legendary Big Walkowski tournament, which I have never won until a couple months from now. But he is here today to promote his new release. He's just written a book called Honolulu Blues, How Loving a Losing Team Created a Winning Man, available wherever you get your books. We got Joel Walkowski in the house. Joel, it speaks to the friendship that you and I have that I, a diehard Bears fan, would say yes when you were like, hey, can I come on your basketball podcast to promote my book about the football team that you don't like?
Absolutely. And I think Adam is not only the most handsome man in comedy, he might also be the nicest. But tangent, if I appear on Horse 5 times, given the spirit of this show, I think that means I'm out. That means I can never do it again.
That's actually
that
hilarious.
Is actually very funny. Yeah.
So
you only get 5.
I'm at 4 letters now. So
you're on your
Big
S.
Walkowski.
Yeah.
We've talked about Sandler, maybe another like miscellaneous basketball. So like, this is close to my expiration. I'm going to cash that in because Honolulu Blues is out now. And I can say without hyperbole, it's one of the best reviewed nonfiction books of the year, which is crazy as a debut author. And like, it's something that people are really gravitating towards. And like, it's not just a football book. I use, and Adam, you're a Cubs fan. You get it. Shubes, you're a Knicks fan. You get it. Like, I use this team that I love that always disappoints me as a proxy for all of the difficult things someone can go through in life. Special needs parent, addiction, death, grief, all that verisimilitude. And like it's filtered through the prism of the team I love because if you're talking to me, I'm going to talk about these hard things. And then it's probably like, oh, yeah, but I'm really worried about the secondary this year. Our safeties really took a decline. So I think that's the authentic male conversation experience.
I do just want to jump in and say verisimilitude, unbelievable word. I think that sounds like a word that Gary Gulman would use playing horse instead of the word horse. He would play verisimilitude and you would have a much longer time before getting eliminated.
And it might be shorter because Gary, he's a mid-range artist. Like he truly is LaMarcus Aldridge out there. So...
We got to get the gull at a big walk. Has he big walked before?
We've played out. He doesn't like to play outside, is my understanding of it. Where he might have a little bit older knee cartilage than the average participant, and he was
I'm getting there. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Adam's in for Adam, and you could wheel us out like we're Hannibal Lecter. We're gonna be ready to go.
I think what you're saying with the book, just kind of using the team as a way to talk about other things. I think that's a great thing about sports books in general. And then I think it also hits to the ethos of this podcast where we have a lot of nerdy listeners. We have a lot of people who might not even care about basketball, but it's like the show's a basketball show, but like not really. And I think you can find a lot of joy. Like I don't care about football at all. I could still pick up this book and enjoy it because I think a lot of fun things with these sports books is they're trying to tell some sort of story. I read 7 Seconds or Less. It's a great book about the Phoenix Suns, but it's not so much about the actual basketball. It's more about like, who's Boris Diaw as a human? And it's really fun. And I'm imagining.
Well, according to Bill Walton,
he's
he's a classical human being.
A classical man, like Aristotle on the court.
Yeah, no, I did want this to work for non-Detroiters, non-football fans. So all of my editors, all early reads, I exclusively partnered with women who had no idea of any of my subjects. And if they enjoyed the piece, then I think anyone can enjoy the piece. So that was my strategy to make it a book that's accessible to everyone. And I think regardless of what your interest is, whatever you love most, I think it filters through and it informs all other aspects of your life. Adam, if you like, are the Cubs just a baseball team? I think there's a lot more going on there.
No, and I think the comparison there is, and I reflect on this a lot. I actually was just out in Chicago this past weekend for the 10-year reunion of the World Series team. But also I appreciate you not bringing up the Tigers beating the Cubs last night, but that's neither here nor there. You think about all of that pain that Cubs fans experience. And for me, I mean, I was, 30 years old when they won, or even younger. Like, I didn't have to go through as much of it as a lot of people, but all of those moments along the way, same for Knicks fans, same for Lions fans, when you guys win, like, that all makes that moment when you finally get it done that much sweeter. And that doesn't mean that you should be going through life hoping for pain so that there's some eventual payoff, but it is kind of a life lesson in that, like, if you stick it out and if you, keep your head above water and you're patient and you try to get through the difficult times, there is a great end to that story if you can allow yourself to get there.
And even if you don't get that end, like, so me, the ending of this book, my dad is dying, the Lions are going on a run, and they choke away the Super Bowl. They've never even been to the Super Bowl. They blow a 17-point halftime lead. And, like, the lesson isn't, oh, darn, we almost got there. It's like, my relationship with my father was so much more full and fulfilling and meaningful than it would have been otherwise. How would have one more game really changed that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do think there's a lot to be said for, like, the journey is also part of the joy. Like, if you look at a sports team as, well, any year that they don't win the whole thing is just a waste of a year or a waste of me following them, then you're not acknowledging the joy that they gave you throughout the year. And listen, Joel, you're a Lions fan. They've had a season where they didn't win a game. Mike, you're a Knicks fan. You've had a season where they won 17 games. As a Bulls fan, as a Cubs fan, as a Bears fan, like, I have watched many seasons that probably objectively were a waste of time. But if you have a season where, like the Knicks last year or like the Bears last year, where, like, they have a great year, it's a ton of fun, they don't ultimately get it done, I think it's insane to look at that and say, like, oh, well, what was all this for? Even Giannis, who I am liking less and less these days, I love that answer that he gives in that press conference where the guy asks him, like, hey, is it a failure that you didn't win the championship? And he essentially turns it around on him and is like, hey, if you don't accomplish every goal that you set out in a year, does that mean that your year was a complete wash? Like, was your year a failure because you didn't do everything you wanted to do? Like, no.
Yeah, and especially for men, and we're against the backdrop of a male loneliness epidemic. Like, a team can lose every game, but if it's infusing our lives with ritual and ceremony and community, it's hard to call that anything but a net positive. And I think the biggest downside of, like, the intersection of sports and gambling is, like, now if Giannis gave that statement, he would have to shout out to Kalshi, his business partner, which is, man, if that isn't the darkest story in pro sports, I don't know what is.
Just really takes the joy out of a lot of it. I think there's so many other wonderful things that sports and sports fandom provides that I think that the gambling just, like, takes so much from the fun. Even when I went to, I was at Game 4, but not the people behind there, but just, like, watching some of the Knicks finals games, like, there'd be people, when I was at Game 2 at the watch party, there were people behind that were super stressed about one of the, like, parlay bets that they set, like someone had to hit 10 points or something. And the Knicks, like, are winning a very dramatic game in which they've made a comeback. And this whole guy's mindset is Josh Hart needs to score 2 more points. Otherwise, I'm going to be furious. And it's just like, it's just robbing you of so much potential joy. Just enjoy the team winning.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking probably the happiest New York's been in maybe its existence, honestly, if you were to just chart the emotion and putting that onto a low-level financial transaction. Like, that seems shameful and gross and the opposite of why we gravitate to these games as young people.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's terrible.
So, all right, before we get into breaking down the book, where it came from and all of that, for the first time ever, Joel, so you should be honored, we are including a guest in our NB Q&A section because Joel knows ball, and we got a fun question submitted to us, which I will read now. Here's what we've got. All right, this is a question submitted from Sasha, and the end of this question is a little mean and a little rude, but I'm going to read it anyway, even if it insults the Bulls. What's your all-time average player starting five? And would this starting five beat the current Chicago Bulls? I'm going to answer the second part right now. Yes, they would. But this is a very fun challenge. What is your starting lineup? So, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center of just mid.
Like perfectly fine. Like no one would be angry that they're on your team.
And
not great, not bad.
And I guess like the clarifying question I have is it average NBA player or average starter? Because those are two different ways to look at this.
I think it's choose your own adventure. It wasn't specified, so you can set your own parameters.
Like a guy that they say, so like your team announces the starting lineup and they announce the guy and you're like, okay. Like I think,
but like the players coming to mind to me are like a Taj Gibson, like someone who had a really long
Jeff
career.
Teague is my point guard. Is my thought. Like perfectly fine, but no.
Andre Miller is mine. But is he too good?
Andre Miller's really good.
Andre Miller might be too good. I went through Andre Miller and Terrell Brandon, and I was like, I don't know. If we're going purely average, let's go to one of the greatest teams that never was, the early 2000s LA Clippers. Jeff McGinnis coming down the aisle.
I don't even really remember Jeff McGinnis. Wow.
He was poised to make a leap for a long time, and then he was eventually traded for Andre Miller and moved into journeyman status.
Okay.
I want to put Tom Gugliotta on my team. I think he was perfectly fine. Great name. He's going to be my 3 is Googs.
Great name, but Gugliotta, he did have some averages in the high teens. It was good stats.
Was he ever an all-star, though?
I think he might have had one all-star appearance, actually. But that might have been hey, if it was the mid-90s, if we can get a white guy into the all-star game, we're going to do it.
Diversity.
I mean,
one-time all-star. One time.
Let's go.
Oh, okay, there you go.
96, 97.
And I want to have
17th place for MVP that year.
That's you, and that projects as an all-star. So but
his PER career 15.9 isn't 15 average, so I think I might have nailed it.
That's perfect. And I want to have fun storylines on my team, so I want to have Doug Christie because, if you can be average on court, plus defense, below average offense, but then we just have a strange marriage dynamic looming over.
Yeah, he was a swinger. Was it? He had weird sex stuff? Was his whole thing?
No, he had to wave to his wife after every free throw, and that was his thing. His wife. The term "whipped" I think came up because of Jackie Christie.
Yeah, that feels like a penance of some sort. Like he did something
He
wrong.
did something bad.
She was like, I will stay with you if you do a humiliation ritual after every free throw.
It's better than what Jason Kidd used to do, where he would wipe his butt and then kiss to the backboard, which was supposed to be to his family. And it's didn't you just wipe your butt? I feel like that's.
I think so. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to center, and Luke Longley is going to be my guy.
Luke Longley is a great pull. And that's a great one.
I think we're all probably going to trot out an engaging white stiff here. So.
Oh yeah, I'll take Ref LaFrance. That'll be my center.
But then your cap situation is really tough on your average NBA team.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to need to get into aprons here, but
yeah, that Rave contract was always making come on, flat top, Greg Ostertag. That is an average center. Average was one. And I've been building out a lineup, so I just have my forward spot. Ooh. So
for my 4, can I get Pat Patterson? Can I get 2 Pat? I feel like he's perfectly perfectly mid.
Put Pat Patterson in there. And then, I think I do need to have a go-to guy. I don't want them to be an all-star. I don't want them to necessarily be a starter. But I really loved the NBA career of Corliss Williamson, where
ooh,
a great back
Sacramento
to the
King.
And 2004 champion. I think he's the reason the Pistons won the championship in 2004. We didn't re-sign him. We swapped him out for Antonio McDyess. But anyway, he was a bucket. He didn't do too much else. And I think he pairs well with Ostertag, giving me the ideal pace of play.
I believe I still have my power forward position open, and with my pick, I'm going to go with a man whose name perfectly exemplifies the career he had, Joe Smith. The most generic name out there. He was a former number one pick, I believe, or a very, very top pick, but had like a perfectly ordinary. Yeah, he had, I would say, a disappointing career given that he was picked number one overall. But if you just look at his career in a vacuum.
If he was picked 30th at the exact average point of the draft.
But also the reason Garnett never won a title in Minnesota, because they tried to subvert the cap to keep Joe Smith, and then they got caught for it. So much of Garnett's Timberwolves career, they didn't have a first-round pick to move forward with.
Yeah. For my final thought is the shooting guard. I'm going to go with Luther Head. Just perfectly
legend,
fine.
Luther Head.
Some fun moments, but I looked it up on Basketball Reference. 12.3 PER. Perfectly average.
Oh, wow. That's great.
That's very good. Yeah, that's a very good one.
I think I have a certain identity, and I do have the power forward position opening. And you could have plus intangibles, and he's not welcome in Madison Square Garden, but I got a spot for you, Charles Oakley. Come on down.
Oh, as a Knicks fan, I think that's a little disrespectful.
Yeah, but if you look at the player efficiency, he was never asked to play that role, and like that could also apply to Corliss Williamson as well. But like,
yeah.
My teams, they're going to be average, but they're going to get every rebound.
You do have a very fun team, personality-wise.
Jeff McGinnis, Doug Christie, Corliss Williamson, Greg Ostertag, and Charles Oakley. That's my average NBA team. We're like the dialogue during the in-flight poker games is going to be phenomenal, and that's why I'm building. I'm going to sell that to HBO, the streaming rights.
And yes, that team could beat the current Chicago Bulls.
I think all of our teams are going to beat the Chicago Bulls, but the Chicago Bulls have more upside.
The Bulls are going to be awesome, and like maybe
the Bulls are going to be fun in a couple of years. I think they could be. Actually, something.
They could be good.
They have the one piece, and like I don't know if it's you or Tommy who I said like before the draft ladders, like the pick you want is 4. There's 4 potential MVPs in this draft. If you have 4, you have total regrets. Peace of mind and a building block.
Mm-hmm. And we got the guy who came to us.
And Mike and I were at the draft, which was quite dull, as you told me.
I went to watch Cade get picked. It's terrible.
I was free tickets, thankfully. Still sitting there saying, if the Bulls do not draft Caleb Wilson at 4, I am going to lose my mind. And I am very grateful that they did not screw up the most obvious decision, which was just take whoever's left. Whichever one of those 4 guys is left, you take whoever's left.
And like,
they did it, and he's doing well.
Yeah, and like I love all these prospects. It's so easy to fall in love with each of the top 4 guys, and there's like maybe mild injury concerns about Caleb, which is why he was the last one picked. But I mean, these guys go number 1 in 3 of the last 5 drafts, don't they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think Caleb is fun. He's been giving really good interviews. His mindset is really cool. I very much enjoyed as a nerd that they asked him, what have you been doing since you graduated college between then and now? And he said, I'm getting a bunch of shots up. Like he's saying, 2,000 shots a day. And then I think the follow-up question was, oh, but is that similar to what you're doing in college? And he said, no, I had to go to class. And I don't think he was joking. Like it seemed like he actually did go to class. Whereas I forget who gave the famous quote of, I didn't come here to play school. So I appreciate him.
I didn't come to school to play school.
Yeah, I didn't. I forget. I'll look it up. But someone said I didn't come here to play school, which is great.
That's a pretty good line. So, all right, with that behind us, Joel, I'd love to talk to you about kind of the genesis of when you started thinking about writing this book. Was it something that you had always wanted to do, or was it something that like after that season and after that, experience losing your father, was that when the wheel started turning of like, how can I kind of put my thoughts to paper, as it were?
Well, I mean, it started early, right? So I was in college. I was at USC and like I didn't really fit in the film program. So I was like, I'm going to be a writer. And then the first thing I wrote got published in the New York Times and it did like phenomenally well. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be the next great book. So I worked really hard. I locked myself in a room, but I was also kind of in active addiction, so I could like focus on the writing above myself. And I drank myself nearly to death. I needed like 14 blood transfusions. And like, flash forward to years later, like recovery is a big part of my life. I'm working on being sober above all else. And in the meeting, they're like, hey, what are your goals? And like, what would really excite you is like, it'd be so cool to write a book sober. And, you know, I kind of applied the Lions as like a guide to life. Like my dad was special needs. I had a lot of ups and downs with addiction, and like, you know, knowing that I was going to be disappointed was like kind of a really good thing to learn. So that was the genesis. So I started writing it by hand. My father's health took a downturn. So I went in my journal. I was sitting by his deathbed, because if you've ever cared for like someone in very poor health, I said very, very poor wealth, but there's a lot of sitting around and waiting in between the tasks. Yeah. So I would just kind of write the pages, give them to him, and like got his read on it too, because it's a lot of his story as well. But I went all in, and it came from recovery.
Very cool. How long was it something where like once you started writing it, it just kind of like poured out of you, or was it a longer process than that?
It was a long process, because I did a lot of like, it was originally a lot more Lions than it is right now. So I went through like 89 to present. Like I watched every game recap. My homepage was Football Reference, and like I just kind of journal about the games and whatever was going on with me. And then after that process, I wrote the proposal. I figured out like how a narrative really works with this, because like above all else, I think the story structure in this piece is very strong and very compelling. So from there, the proposal informed what it was ultimately going to be. And then 4 drafts later, here we are.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that you very intentionally like kind of tested out the book with people who are not necessarily sports fans or football fans. Speaking to our listenership, which you have some context with, the whole idea with this podcast is like we're talking to a lot of people who don't necessarily like sports, or they're new to sports. You know, they're learning about basketball. They're more interested in like the storylines and the drama than they are the actual on-court stuff. What would be your kind of, you know, pitch or selling point to somebody listening to this podcast who's like kind of here for basketball, mostly here for Mike and myself? Like, what's kind of the universal appeal of it?
My pitch is that this book is an entry into mindfulness for men. This is self-help for bros in their native talk. We're using the game to talk about everything we have trouble to talk about. And at the same time, it's a comedy. It's riddled with punchlines, and there's some cheeky footnotes where I think you're going to be entertained while thinking about new topics in your own life and your own experiences. And I think that's good art.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
I think something that will definitely appeal to the listeners. The title alone is very creative, because I watched the Instagram reel that you made about this, because Honolulu blue is the official color of the Detroit Lions wearing blue. So Honolulu Blues is a fun pun given the Lions' not so successful history. But do you want to talk a little bit about Honolulu blue itself, like the history of that color, which is so funny given the team does not play in Hawaii, and then also what led you to making that the title of the book?
Yeah, I mean, I was at a book festival this Sunday, and like I did come across a lot of confused Hawaiians, actually. It was like, no,
this isn't about the NCAA team? What?
Yeah, I mean, Colt Brennan, that's my guy. But, okay, the guy who moved the team from Portsmouth, Ohio to Detroit, he loved Hawaii. So he dictated that whatever color the Lions wear will be called Honolulu blue. It's actually 3 or 4 shades. And by doing that, he lost the ability to copyright the paint color, the color. No. So like if you go to Benjamin Moore, there is a Honolulu blue for sale. So I make the point like, yeah, we even lose to paint stores. So I think that informs like the
Sherwin-Williams has our number.
That's so funny.
That's wild. Oh my gosh. So there was no, he just liked Hawaii and then just decided we're going to call this blue that. And then now you can't trademark it as Lions blue or something.
He loved Hawaii, but decided Detroit was going to base his operations. Like, we have water, but it's pretty gray and sometimes on fire. So like, it's a very different body of water.
That is true. And, all due respect to Detroit, it does seem like the kind of city where you might be thinking about Hawaii as much as you can.
Yeah, and I do think like it was really cool to get into the story of Detroit as a whole, where like I get into, because Henry Ford, he made all the money. And his son was a huge Lions fan, but like in the 50s, the Lions were a dynasty, but they were governed by like a symposium of local businessmen. But then a gambling scandal hit the team, and they're like, you got to have one owner. We can't have this intermingling. Like, it's what's going to happen with the Heat in 2027. But they were forced to sell to Henry Ford's son, and that's why the Lions have never won. He's like, I need to spend less money than other owners. I need to win on my own conditions. And then, like, our longtime general manager, he didn't come from football. The rumor is that he was Ford's AA sponsor, and for that reason, he was allowed to control player personnel for well over 2 decades.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Seems qualified.
Yeah, holy nepotism, Batman. My goodness.
Yeah, but it's also like coming from a family structure that like didn't exactly position me to thrive in this world. There's a lot of things I needed to learn, like having my team be held back from like family politics and squabbling. It seemed like a fair statement. So like to step back and learn how to reinvent yourself, similar to myself in recovery, similar to Dan Campbell's era. Like there were a few lucky coincidences in the storytelling that kind of just make the narrative really shine.
Yeah. If someone like me who doesn't watch football but does know basketball is looking for a team comparison arc that the Lions have been through, because there's all different sorts of teams that have been bad for a while, what NBA franchise do you think they most mimic, or is it a mix where they were like this team at some point and then they turned to this team later on?
I think the Suns are probably the closest proxy, where riddled with bad ownership, some of the breakthrough stars and most beloved teams the sport has ever had, but then at the same time, like as the team operates, they lose games in a way that only they could lose. You know, the Suns are 2 guys leaving the bench away from having NBA championships. They created one of the best teams that ever existed, only to have Kevin Johnson shit the bed in the NBA Finals. And like, I don't know, the Lions are the same, where it's just, we don't lose because we lose the games. We lose because it's a natural force. It's gravity. We're always going to fall one direction.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like the Clippers might be kind of in the same boat in terms of being just like a kind of sort of a snake bit organization and having had teams over the years that should have won. But
I thought about the Clippers, but even as a division rival, Adam, like there's a lovable quality about the Detroit Lions that I don't know that the Clippers like have cultivated throughout a lot of their history. Like, maybe Blake and CP3 got there. I don't know if Loy Vaught and Danny Manning ever did the same.
Right. No, and it is true. And this might change if and when the Lions finally win, but like, I've never really felt any strong animus towards the Lions. Part of it is because they just weren't really a threat for a long time, and that's also true of the Bears. But like, my body feels something when I see a Packers jersey. Like, it makes me feel ill. I don't feel that way about Honolulu Blue.
No, like the Packers, my blood boils. I've intentionally never gone to Lambeau Field, and we're about the same age. This team has won our division our entire lives. We have the understanding that it's very difficult to win in the NFL, but at the same time, this team with a bandwagon fan base, let's be real about that. Most Packers fans are from Florida, in my experience, gets all of the riches and trappings you could possibly have.
If anything, I think it's a bonding force between like Bears and Lions fans, or Bears and Lions and Vikings fans, of like, we all hate the Packers. It's the same as if there's like an interleague game between the Mets and the Red Sox, they just start chanting "fuck the Yankees" because they're like, well, we can agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're like, if the Bears have a good year, it's just like, oh, that's fun. Good for them. I'd like to win our one-on-one matchups, but like I want the Bears to be successful and be a well-run franchise where I want the Packers to be so bad they have to move to a major market and have a billionaire owner just like the rest of us.
Those cursed fan population owned Packers grumble.
Well, I mean, they have the same branding as Applebee's, if you think about it, where it's just like small town Americana, where it's just like, you know, if a major corporation's selling you that, it might not be as authentic as you think it is.
Wait a second. Cracker Barrel is not truly Southern home cooking and golf tee peg games.
The call's calling from inside of the house. So yeah, every time I bring up the Packers, like I did have a big background in the roast, so I make sure I hit them with some type of barb. Favre, Chimera, Rodgers. I make sure I rub their noses in it enough where like I think you'd be reading this, Adam, and you'd give some fist pumps along the way.
Oh, absolutely, and I look forward to doing so. Now, before we let you go, I know you did have kind of like a basketball angle that you wanted to talk about, so I'm going to let you have the floor and explain what you were thinking about.
And I hate this. In this game, I get a lot of messages from readers right now, but someone came to me and they're like, when you write about Barry Sanders, that's Knicks fans talking about Jalen Brunson, and that's an undersized guy who thrives on humility and the ability to change direction, who the city sees themselves in. And more important than anything, his father is key to his mythology. So I do see, like, I hate Jalen Brunson. Like, it's a full-time job for me. I'm wrong. I've ran my mouth.
Osar Thompson is still skating
that was a
to
push-off.
this day.
That was absolutely a push-off. Byron Russell is now the second most egregious push-off in NBA history. But the overlap between Brunson and my favorite athlete of all time, it makes it more easy to palate, like the Knicks championship. And a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I saw Tommy McNamara in a Knicks shirt, Adam. I was apoplectic, but I just
saw Adam Mamawala in a Knicks shirt.
That is true, yeah.
So I was there with my arms crossed, observing, and I got at peace with it, with there being more happiness in the world than there would be otherwise. But
yeah,
apart from that, I did see enough of Knicks and Lions overlap pointed out to me by my readers that, you know, I'm happy for them. Congrats, Knicks. You did it. And it was one of the great probably the best title run since Dirk in 11.
I think that's fun. I think people are to give love to your favorite team. There's a lot of comparisons to the '04 Pistons as well in terms of like roster construction. This is our year. It was made by trades, not necessarily one huge star. More, you know, Brunson definitely the leader, but not like a LeBron level world beater talent. And then the team coming together, and then it also has the 2011 Mavs vibes of like, people didn't expect it, and yet here they are beating these quote-unquote better teams, which is very fun. And I've got a lot of love for Barry Sanders as well, not because I follow the NFL, but because I did have and played quite a bit of backyard football, and Barry Sanders is nuts in backyard football. He's fantastic, underrated as a wide receiver because he can catch very well and then just speed past everybody. He was my go-to on the wide routes, just throw it deep to Barry. He was arguably one of my most valuable players on that roster.
And the most aesthetically pleasing athlete, I think, in the history of American sports.
Very smooth.
And like the Instagram reels alone, he's like Jason Williams, except he was the best at his position for a decade.
Yeah. He looked cool in backyard football too. He would like get in this like really athletic running stance that not a lot of the other kids had in that game. So I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, to have a 5'8" guy be the best player in the NFL, like that's pretty cool. And if you're a little kid watching these games, you're like, oh, the tiny guy's great. I'm gonna pull for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, look, that's Brunson for sure. I was saying this to everybody that was within earshot of me, but I'm so angry that Jalen Brunson wasn't a star when I was a kid, because I feel like, not that I'm to the level of him, but if I had tried to emulate the things that he has to do on the court to overcome his size, because I was undersized and for so much of my basketball career, I would have been so much better. Whereas I'm 34, so the people who were the best when I was growing up was like Jordan and then Kobe and then LeBron, and it's like, I can't do what these guys are doing. It would have been so much nicer to have like, oh, little footwork jab head fake guy as the preeminent pro when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That would have been
And every
so
few
nice.
years, a guy comes along to just remind us that, body control is a form of athleticism.
Yes. Yes. I get really mad when people say that about players. When they say like, oh, Jalen Brunson's not very athletic. People would say this about Harden too. It's just like the way in which these guys shift is just a different type of athleticism. It is so hard to stop on a dime like that and be so crafty. Athleticism doesn't just mean run fast, jump high.
Yeah, and Harden, like, he might be the strongest guard in NBA history. Like, he was a finally two, and Harden's the guy where it's just like a one break here or there. Like, he deserves a better legacy than he's going to have. He changed offensive basketball forever. He won MVPs, and he's going to go down as a punchline. And like, I just don't think that's fair. James Harden was awesome for a decade plus, but he's going to be remembered for strip clubs and big game letdowns, and like, he probably deserves better.
He can be the new Karl Malone, where Karl Malone was great in the regular season and then bad in the playoffs. But like, we don't have to talk about Karl Malone ever in a positive light because of how terrible of a person he is. If the worst thing that James Harden did was support local businesses, we'll take.
And James Harden's funny. Like, my favorite moment in recent league history is James Harden telling a bunch of Chinese children that Daryl Morey is a liar.
Let me repeat it. Really doubling down on it. Yeah. He's got a funny career. I hope he gets more beloved, because you're right, Joel.
There is no denying that the existence of James Harden and Steph Curry has ruined playing pickup basketball with anyone under the age of 30.
Absolutely. And that's why we curate the basketball runs. We're playing with strangers is a form of hell unto itself. We're like, if you were going to argue about calls, I'll just go home. Where you go out, it's step back threes everywhere you look. And I coached a little bit of youth basketball, and it is an epidemic of Harden, Curry impersonators.
Yeah. All right, Joel, before we let you go, any final thoughts, anything else you'd like to share about the book? Or do you have a preferred place for people to purchase the book?
Okay, Honolulu Blues is available at all platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but it's always best to go to your local bookseller. And I think it got put on some of their radar last week. But
cool.
if you give me a chance, if you buy this book and you don't like it, request me on Venmo. I'm very confident in the end result. So that's the Joel Walkowski money back guaranteed. You just Venmo.
And that Venmo was at Adam Mamawala.
Yeah,
right?
Adam Mamawala. So no, but I really think you'll enjoy it. And I put 4 years of my life into this. It wouldn't be just a football book if I didn't bring the heart and passion and humor into it that I did. So give it a chance.
I love it. Yeah, check out bookshop.org if you don't have a local bookstore that stocks it, because then they'll ship it from a local bookstore that does. Always good.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Horror Sources, hosted by Adam Mamawala and Mike Schubert. This episode was edited by Mike Schubert. The music is by Batika Bomanas. The art's by Alison Wakeman. The website is by Aurelia Lieb, and the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Bird, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry won an ESPY.
Bang. That's the get off the stage, stop thanking people music.
Oh,
version
I
of
understand.
Bang.
I thought you were going for a sports center, like bang, 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 which would also work. Chase Underulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby is a vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs boy, balls to the walls, Mats Furley, Utah Jash, Derry Bird, Ultranet, Reality, NBA Wife, and Bucking Valkyries. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Horse Hoops, and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops, because
Horse Hoops tried to trademark Honolulu Blue, and then they got in trouble legally because
you can't do it. It's already a thing. It's already a thing. You can go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to the many things we discussed today, but most importantly, where you can buy Joel's book.
And if you want to support the Horse Boys, go to patreon.com/horsehoops and get access to a whole bunch of fun bonus content. And you can also go to horsehoops.com/merch to get cool digital merchandise items. But we will conclude this episode as we always do, putting our hands in the middle, saying something on the count of 3. How are we feeling? What are we feeling?
Maybe something for Joel. I mean, it would be kind of a departure for us to end with an American football womp womp reference, but I mean, I'll do a Go Lions for Joel. He's a good guy. He deserves it.
My football fandom is purely if I have friends that like a team, I want that team to win. So I'm definitely down to say go Lions on 3.
All right, let's do it. It's a little tough for me as a Bears fan doing this, but hey, if I've already worn a Knicks shirt, what else do I have to lose?
Heck yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Go Lions!
Very fitting, given that I'm recording this one in central New Jersey, and my K through 8 school was the Lions. So
and you're also very close to
around.
TCNJ. Go Lions!
The Lions, let's go. See, you were just giving a shout out to your college team. There you go.
There you go.